that time today. Practiced all the things I would say. When she came over, I lost my nerve. I took her back and made her dessert. I know I'm being used. That's okay, man, 'cause I like the abuse. I know she's playing with me. That's okay, 'cause I got no self-esteem. Oh, hey, oh, yeah, yeah. Whoa, yeah, yeah. Whoa, yeah, yeah. Whoa, yeah, yeah. We make plans to go out at night. I wait till 2, then I turn out the light. This rejection's got me so low. She keeps it up, I just might tell her so. Oh, hey, oh, yeah, yeah. Whoa, yeah, yeah. Whoa, yeah, yeah. Whoa, yeah, yeah. When she's saying all that she wants only me, then I wonder why she sleeps with my friends. When she's saying all that I like her to see.
Damn. Why Brad says he's down bad, who's a Virginia fan. And I get it. I ain't happy either.
Think it's better this way. The more you suffer, the more it shows you really care. Right, yeah. I'll relate this little bit. Happens more than I'd like to admit. Late at night, she knocks on my door. She's drunk again and looking to score. I know I should say no, but it's kinda hard when she's ready to go. Maybe duh, I'm not a dweeb, just a sucker with no self-esteem. Oh, hey, oh, yeah, yeah. Whoa, yeah, yeah. Whoa, yeah, yeah. Whoa, yeah, yeah. When she's saying all that she wants only me, then I wonder why she sleeps with my friends. When she's saying all that I like her disease, then I wonder how much more I can spend. Well, I guess I should seek up for myself, but I really think it's better this way. The more you suffer, the more it shows you really care. Right, yeah.
Like I said, guys, I'm gonna go off for a second before we get into calls there. So I will get to you in the back room. We are gonna take calls. I do want to know what you have to say about this, because Lord knows there are a variety of opinions on it. But we're gonna get mine first because it's my show.
It's a dangerous, here we are now. Anytime
let's just get right into it. No need to listen to Nirvana much longer. And I know what you might be thinking. Wreck, are you wearing scrubs? What's going on? I am wearing scrubs right now because I'm going to play the role of doctor tonight. I think there's maybe some cancers that need to be removed in this program, on the football team, and we might need to go in tonight. This is how I want you to think about it. I'm wearing the scrubs. I'm playing the doctor. We're going to do exploratory surgery on this team and on this fan base. That's why we're going to take calls tonight. Obviously, college football fans are out of their minds. That's why we're college football fans. We're not super rational, especially after a loss and especially after several losses. We're going to talk about all that. I don't know, man. There was some stuff in the live show I saw, and not the live show, the stream that I saw when we streamed the game, and things on Twitter, things I've noticed that have happened that I feel like we need to talk about. So, as Georgia Tech fans, I feel like, or this is what I see, it's like you see a Georgia fan acting crazy, saying crazy things, being classless. And we herald ourselves as Tech fans as being the classy fans. Classy. Yet, some of us, I don't feel like act much different than them. I just got to call it how I see it. Now, first and foremost, let's just get the facts on the table. Zach Pyron did not play well at all. In fact, he played bad. He had a really bad half and then series against Virginia Tech. I think Zach Pyron would be the first one to tell you that he played very badly against Virginia Tech. Call it awful. Here's, though, what I don't quite understand is just attacking the guy. And really, there's no one that's probably watching this, or, well, there might be some people that are watching it. There's probably no one in the live chat that I'm talking to right now. But attacking him personally, saying awful things about the kid, messaging people that are tangentially associated with him, I don't really get. If you're someone that's doing that, you're not one of us. You're not a Tech fan. Now, I want to throw up a scenario for you guys, because in the words of Polly Walnuts from The Sopranos, no one knows what the future holds, my little friend. Think about Jalen Hurts and Tua. Jalen Hurts not playing well in the national title. Tua comes in, wins the game for them. Jalen Hurts loses his job. Next year, in the SEC title game, Tua's hurt. Tua can't play 100%. Tua not playing well against Georgia. Talking about the Georgia-Alabama game in the SEC title. Jalen Hurts comes in, looks like Superman, wins the game for them. Right? Now he ends up transferring, going to Oklahoma, now having a successful career with the Eagles. What is the point of me saying all that? The point of me saying all that is I don't really get the point of just absolutely trashing a kid. And I use that term kid purposefully. Just trashing him and, saying all these awful things to him because you don't know what the future holds. I don't see the point in that as a Tech fan. Now, it's certainly okay to say he played awful. You like that? We saw the game. The next point that I want to make, the fire Brent Key talk. There's been a ton of fire Brent Key talk. KS in the chat has probably been one of the biggest proponents of that. Ralph Leary knows another one, right? He hangs out in their Discord a lot, I believe, and he's not a fan of Sea-Dog. Fire Brent Key. Fire a guy in his second year. And I feel like we get emotional, because look, the stats for this Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech game, I don't know if I've really seen the parity in stats or just how weird the stats come off of that game and a team get beat by 2 scores. Virginia Tech had like 223 yards, I think, of offense. 223. We had like 356, I think. 0 offensive touchdowns, 2 field goals. I don't think I've seen a team under 250 yards score 3 times, 3 touchdowns. It was wild. Offense was not good. Now, Philo comes in and lights it up. I was not calling to bring Philo in. I do think that was the right decision. And I'm certainly saying that in hindsight. I was wrong about that. Do I think if we would have left Pyron in, he would have lit it up like that? No, I don't. But as far as the fire Brent Key stuff, I think you have to take a step back, try and set the emotions aside for a second, and ask yourself to play the tape all the way through on that. And I'm not saying you haven't. I would really like to have some people call in that are calling to have Brent Key fired this year or next year. I would like to hear from you. And I'm not going to call you an idiot or anything, I promise. I mean, unless you're being an idiot. Like if Kelly Quinlan called in. Now, he's not allowed to call in until he apologizes to me, and that's likely to happen. That's not likely to happen. But let's play the tape all the way through. You'd have to pay Key's buyout, which I think he averages about $3 million a year. So you'd owe him about $9 million. Let's just call it 10. You'd owe him $10 million. You're still paying Jeff Collins. I'm sure you're still paying Passner. All right? That's 3 fired coaches you'd be paying. It's low. His buyout is low with respect to other programs. Are we financially like other programs? Can we eat another in the neighborhood $10 million buyout? I don't think so, or I don't want to. You would have, let's say you fire him at the end of this year. What does that signal to anyone who you want to hire that might be interested in it? Hell, why would I go to Tech? They fired that guy after 2 seasons when he's bringing them out of the brink of destruction that Collins had them in. Now, what is the only way to mitigate that? Money. Do you have $10 million to pay Key's buyout on top of all these other buyouts, on top of at least $10 million a year, and it would have to be probably a minimum of a 7-year contract. So you'd have to commit to $70 million at a minimum to get the coach in that you want. All right? Then you definitely, if you're not happy with him, definitely can't fire him. On top of, you're going to tank this year's recruiting class, and you're going to have to wipe the staff, pay all that staff's buyouts. So look, I have criticisms of Key. The game decisions at times, and really more than at times, every game there's brain dead, in my opinion, decisions made. taking a timeout after the 4th and 1, not forcing a review of the 4th and 1, and then taking a timeout after the PAT makes less than 0 sense to me. Okay? There's no excuse for it. Special teams, they were better today. There's still no excuse that our special teams was that bad in the previous 2 or 3 games. None. You're right. We are getting out coached in games. Okay? I get all that. Is that enough to eat everything I just talked about, though? Probably 15 million to 20 million in buyouts to White Key and the staff. And do you have then, okay, let's say you don't have 70 million to commit to the next coach. Can you do better in hiring a guy after Key? All right, then you get another coach for $4 million for 5 years. And then what if he's not doing it in 2 years? Are you going to keep firing coaches every 2 years and just get on this carousel of paying buyouts? That's what I want to talk about tonight. Let's go through the chat real quick before we get into the phone lines. Let's see who we got back there. We got four in there tonight. Again, I'd really like to hear someone that disagrees with me. Maybe there's someone in there that does. But let's go through the chat and we'll get to it. Michael Butler says, go Jackets. What's going on, Michael Butler? KS, staunch. I would love KS to call in. I like KS. KS is a member of the channel, I believe. I think he might have been gifted a membership, but still a member nonetheless. Love it if he calls in. You can call in and tell me I'm a big fat idiot, and nothing wrong with that. T-Branch says, oh boy. GT Caleb says, agreed, Sundays are trash after an L. Look, I'd rather be playing Black Ops 6, but I love you guys. And we needed to do this. We needed to perform some surgery. Also, I'd like to hear from you. What do you think the temperature of the fan base is? I can say it's not great right now for sure. Elliot Waller says, go Jackets. Oh, I tell you what I forgot to mention. The buy-in financially that's behind Key that you could lose if you fire him. $300 million already raised in a $500 million fundraising initiative. Might go away. Who knows? Gavin Owen says, yo, Rick, I'm going to call in. If you want to call in, there's a link at the top of the chat. If you don't see it there, there's a link in the description of the video. If you can't find it there, calling in might not be for you. Just got to call it how it is. Wahoo Brad says, I'm downright. Yeah, they took a beating by the Fighting Jeff Collinses. And I can't think of a worse fate. That's like the worst Halloween I can think of. Wahoo Brad says, we made Jeff Geoff look like a defensive genius. Damn. Yeah, the dude does not abide. KS says, can't believe this Georgia Tech team should have 4 wins. Unacceptable. I don't know what SO is. Now, I'm not that smart. Jeff Collins for being himself, I guess. I don't know what you mean by should have 4 wins. I tell you what I'm not a huge fan of, though, is the coulda, shoulda, woulda. Then you could say, well, we could be undefeated, right? If we would have made this play and that play and that play and the special teams. Like, it's just, I don't like the necessarily hypothetical things in retrospect. As far as the future, that's all you can do, right? Elliot Waller says, we beat UGA and become bowl eligible. That would be massive. That would be massive. Philo is better than Pyron, or it's greater than Pyron. He was against Virginia Tech, that's for sure. CJ says, I hope we don't rely on the game to become bowl on that game, the Georgia game. Yeah, that probably won't work out for us. We beat Miami. Okay, so I feel like a lot of the people that are critical of Key are also saying he's beating top 10 teams going out, which is wild to me. All right. Wahoo Brett says, fire Elliott. Yeah. If you didn't know, if you've been living under a rock, we suspended special teams coordinator Ricky Brumfeld. And I think he came from Virginia, who Wahoo Brad's a fan of. Now, I'm going to tell you right now what actually happened with that. Georgia Tech actually reached out to me after I tweeted fire Brumfeld. and they said, hey, I think you're onto something. Every time you signal something like that, we pay attention. And we're going to suspend them, and we want to talk to you further. That's the truth behind Ricky Brumfield. Now, if you believe that, I also have a bridge to sell you. I say that because I can't win in some instances, because I'll have people that are like, you're too soft on Key, too soft on Pyron. Maybe they're right. But then I also had someone comment, hey, man, because I picked Virginia Tech to win that game before the game. He said, hey, man, like the players watch this, and like basically you can't kill their confidence. Like they need to know they can win every game. And like, okay, so you think that Key sits the team down to watch WreckTalk videos? All right, guys, let's see if we got a shot today. Nah, Rec picked against us. Might as well just ring this one in. So it's like I get it from both sides. That's what's great about this job, though. Gibwest says nobody is happy with losing, but Coach Key has us on the right path. Who haven't we heard from? 5-7 is not acceptable in my opinion. I agree. Gavin Owen says would have been 5-7 last year if had not been for the Miami Miracle. This is true. But Key should not be fired over it. Okay. Dustin Thomas says Key is the worst clock management coach in Power 5. Now the Power 4. Ralph Leary in the house says, what's good, Rec? Dr. Bob? Question. No. Ralph, don't screw with me, okay? You know exactly who I'm talking about. And don't make me drive to wherever you live to inform you of this, all right? We're doing surgery tonight. This is serious. All right? Or I'll take that Tulane koozie of yours and you'll cry. Definitely need to talk about Philo, blah, 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 blah. Let's keep rolling. Putty Glazer, I feel bad because he waited and got beaten out every time. Tajay Butler is a stud. He is, for sure. He had a fantastic game yesterday. Big reason we held them to like 80 total team rushing yards. Nico says, Kelly Quinlan, say what we will about him, made a good point. Made a good point in his live stream. We're expecting way too much for a second-year head coach, and having been dog shit for 46 years now. I agree. I agree with Kelly in that, but what I don't like is someone basically threatened to have my channel faults reported. That would be my issue with him. All right, let's get into some calls tonight. First man up, we lost someone. Let's have Goldfella on. Jace, what's going on, man? What good with you? What it do? What the business is? Hold on. Oh, I'm.
Yo, what's up, Rec?
Not much, man. So I'm hearing myself repeated.
What's up, Rec?
Not much, man. So I'm hearing myself. Can you hear me?
Not much, man. So I'm hearing myself.
This is bizarre. Hey.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? I'm hearing myself like repeated. If you're listening to the stream, I can hear it.
Yeah, I have the stream on my phone. I'm calling you from the computer.
All right. Well, what's going on, man? I'm sure you heard that monologue. What do you think about this program? What do you think about Key? What do you think about that game?
So basically what I think about Key right now is I think people just, I think that the fan base is just heated right now because we have 2 losses. I'm not one of them. I personally think he's doing a great job.
I think.
And right? I think,
we have 4 losses, don't we?
No, I mean like two losses in a row. Like
okay.
2 losses in a row.
Yeah.
I think the fan base is obviously heated right now. I'm heated, but I feel like, people just need to give him a break and, look at where he's coming from,
No, I agree. Yeah. I mean, I'm not even necessarily saying give him a break. You can be super critical of him, but I think calling to fire him inside of 3 years is just kind of like I said, I just don't think you've played the tape all the way through as to what that means for you.
Yeah, true. Because I mean, but something I don't understand, and this is something that was kind of kind of pissing me off throughout the game Saturday was that, like, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, damn, why in the world in Key's interim year were we able to put together plans and win games with backup quarterbacks, but now, like, in his second year as a head coach, we can't even get a first down with a backup quarterback.
Yeah, and you're really speaking to like why does it seem like Pyron is playing worse now than when he was a freshman,
Yeah,
right?
like, why does he, like, okay, why does he look worse? Like, that's my thing. Like, why does he look worse now than he did as a true freshman off the scout team?
Well, I think a few things. One, he's playing way better teams this year. Like, who did he play in? Like, he played Virginia Tech when they were not as good as they are now.
Oh, yeah, they were awful that year.
He played a top 10 Notre Dame team or 11th ranked Notre Dame team with pretty good pass, really good pass defense. But
Yeah, in that game, and honestly, when he played against Notre Dame, I kind of understood why our offense was slow and sluggish because Notre Dame is like a very good team. Now with Virginia Tech, Virginia Tech's not a bad team, but they're obviously not as good as Notre Dame. And like we come out and he can't even get a first down, and I'm just like, why? Like, because we're playing very good with him his freshman year, like in Key's interim year, even with Gibson, we were playing good. And I don't think Gibson's a good quarterback. But yet we're
yeah,
out here, we can't even get a first down, and it's his second year. Like, what the
yeah,
hell, man?
yeah. I mean, it's not great. And obviously, Philo comes in and lights it up. I think, what do you have, like 220 yards and a quarter and
Yeah,
some change? Um, Here's what I can say about it. Now, I've never played Division One football. Um,
yeah,
I did play quarterback at a 4A high school,
yeah,
and the pressure that I had business people in the community coming up to me. The girl that's now married to Brooks Koepka, the golfer that's won several majors, went to my high school. She came up, hey, I'll be watching you. There is, I don't, we probably don't give credence to the amount of unbelievable pressure that's put on a kid who's 19, 20 years old, that
hmm
if you mess up, you're going to have hundreds of thousands of people trashing you. Setting
yeah.
aside that hey, there's a team that's looking to you to now lead them.
I
Um,
mean, yeah. I feel like Pyron was under a lot of pressure. I mean, I knew the minute that he stepped on the field at the end of the North Carolina game that he was under a lot of pressure. I mean, I could see it in his eyes. I mean, he looked like terrified. Like he looked like he was put under so much pressure. And I mean, look, I get that. I get it, but I mean, to the point,
Now
you
you
got
got
to
to
over
play good
the
though.
pressure.
I don't say that to say that excuses the play. I mean, he had one pick that was awful, just absolutely awful. He
Yeah, the game
tended
against Notre Dame, yeah.
no against Virginia Tech. I think
Oh, I didn't like
Singleton.
that pick. I felt like that pick was self-inflicted. Well, personally, I felt like it was
Yeah, no, I'm
self-inflicted.
saying it was awful that he threw that ball. I mean, the other thing that he was doing against Virginia Tech, he really eyeing down receivers pretty good, and the secondary for Virginia Tech was just kind of able to move toward his
Mhm.
eyes because the ball was gonna go there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have any problem saying, look, he didn't play well. I've given some reasons why I think maybe the pressure has gotten to him. I don't know. I'm not that kid. I don't exist in his mind. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, you're judged on how you play.
Yeah.
And obviously, the coaches felt the same way, and that's why Aaron Philo came in.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, like you said, man, there's no sugarcoating it. There's no moral victories. You either play good or you play like crap. Pyron played like crap, and I don't think the loss is 100% on him. Although he didn't play good, but the loss is not 100% on Pyron. I felt like our receivers also did not play good at all. I felt like we dropped so many missed, like so many balls. We and then the interception. He had that right in his hands. That would have been a touchdown if it hadn't popped out of his hands and forced a Virginia Tech interception.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's tough. Here's what's tough for me. I mean, obviously, I've been a huge supporter of Pyron.
I have
He has all the tools to play very, very well. Hasn't happened in the past two games, and really the first half against Notre Dame. I would say he did play well, but the Virginia Tech game didn't. What do you think? What we've talked about, Keith. People are talking in the chat. Something I forgot to mention was Buster Faulkner.
How do I feel about Buster Faulkner?
Yeah.
Oh boy, where do I start? He's a coward. He's too scared to throw the ball, and that's obvious. I mean, he's throwing screens. He's running on 3rd and long.
He threw it with Pyron and Philo, though, which I guess is a conversation to have why he's not doing it with King.
He's throwing the ball. I mean, he's running the ball on like 3rd and 100. I mean, like, what is there not?
That was crazy. Yeah, it's 3rd and 13, I think, and we ran it right up the middle, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, even when Haynes King was starting, he was just so scared to have King throw the ball. It's like, dude, like last year, and I think I know why, and I think it's probably why, because King threw a ton of picks last year, and he's trying to lower that percentage. But like,
it appears that way.
I mean, yeah, I feel like Buster Faulkner is not. He's not doing good this year. I don't think I have zero confidence in saying that he's been good this year. He hasn't. The play calling's been awful all year, and he's too scared. That's it. He's too scared.
So before we move on to the next call, I'm going to ask each caller on a scale of 1 to 10 confidence in this program, and I'm talking about as a whole, to administration, to Key, to the players, to the AD, with 1 being like fire everyone, 10 being, hey, we're on our way to greatness we've never seen. Where would you rank Tech right now?
Okay, so the program as a whole, I would probably give a 7.5.
Okay.
Just because I don't want to rank us too high or too low, because I know that we're still rebuilding. Okay, people need to understand that we're still rebuilding from Jeff Collins' disaster. Okay, and
sure.
I feel like Brent Key, I feel like he's still a young head coach. I mean, I think people need to chill the hell out and give the guy a break. I mean, he's still a young head coach. He's taking over for one of the worst, actually the worst position in Georgia Tech history.
Yeah.
And people just aren't giving him damn credit, man. Like, geez. And like Ricky Brumfield, I would give Key, my confidence with Key is probably like a 6.5 to 7 right now. I feel like the game management could be a little bit better. All right. Buster Faulkner, I feel like Buster Faulkner, he better show me something quick, or else I'm going to be calling for him, because it's not been good for him this year.
All right. Well, appreciate it, man. Golden fella, appreciate you calling in, man. And we'll talk to you next time.
All right. See you, man. Go Jackets and beat the Canes.
I heard that. We're on a bye this week. I've made fun of other teams for like begging for a bye or being a fan of, hey, let's just get to a bye. That's where I'm at with them right now. Zach Jones, what's going on, buddy? You're on with Wreck.
Yo, what up, Rick?
What's going on, buddy? Tell me what you think about this program, Key, Faulkner. Where are you gauging it?
I will say this. I think the program is okay, but my confidence in Key is pretty low.
Okay, so you'd probably rate him at like a 4 or something, or lower.
I think if a head coach is like anywhere below like a 3, I would say they're worthy of their seat is pretty hot. So I wouldn't rate Key that low. I would probably say like a 5. Like I would say a 6 is okay. A 7, anything above like a 7 or 8 is good. I would say he's probably a 5 right now.
Okay. That'd be like in NCAA safe for now, right?
Yeah,
5 would
he's
be
safe
like
for now.
Yeah. So, obviously I know you watch all these games, right?
Yeah.
Virginia Tech game was tough to watch for sure. I mean, we all streamed that thing. What'd you think about that game?
I heard you and Golden fella talking about Pyron and like why he's played so bad compared to his freshman year. and I will say this, and I also want to speak on King as well.
Okay.
But I think with Pyron, I think the thing is with Pyron, um, he when he played his freshman year, he like the whole Georgia Tech fan base knows him because he went on the road and he beat Virginia Tech, and I will give him credit for that. But I think we also have to look at the fact. I know Golden Fella said it, but he didn't say their exact record. Virginia Tech finished 3-8 that year, with us being one of their losses. They weren't that good.
Yeah, they're certainly you cut out there, but they're a much better team now than they were when
Yeah,
he played them his freshman year.
I think Pyron just he's a. I think he's one of those guys where he can sling the ball. I will give him that. If I had to compare him and Haynes King, I would say Pyron probably has more arm strength, but I think where he lacks is his accuracy, his IQ, just his all around, the experience, obviously. And I think that's where they differ. I do think he's got a very good arm. It's just I don't really know if he's got all the other aspects to make him successful at a Power Four program.
I think he can be successful at a Power Four program. I think there's some things that have shown up, like I talked about. It really seemed like he was eyeing down some receivers, and he was just looking like he needed that big play to kind of get into it, and it just kind of didn't happen. And again,
Yeah.
like I hate it. I hate it. Like I've said, obviously I'm a big kind of a mark for Pyron, but I don't know. I would love it. Kind of if this wasn't in form. Now we haven't really talked about it. I don't know. Does this mean Philo is 2 on the depth chart? Probably. It probably does.
I think he should be, but I'll say this: I think assume Haynes King, comes back for,
Miami.
and I know obviously you know just as well as me. Brent Key says publicly he does not care about red shirts. But let's be for real here. Philo, he can play 2 more games. We have 3 games left on the schedule. He can play in 2 more games. If Key can avoid playing him more than 2 games, he's going to. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
for
So
sure.
I do think in a dire emergency, he would put him in. But I think if it's just an average situation, I do think Pyron still might be 2 on the depth chart. But if it's a dire emergency, they probably would put Philo in over him.
Sure. Yeah. If you can retain Philo's red shirt, you do that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of no brainer, right? Well, all right. Before we go on, so you give a vote of confidence of 5 for Key. What do you give for Buster?
So this is what I want to give. So this is what I want to say about Buster. I've told a couple of people this, and I want to know your opinion about it because nobody's really said that. Nobody's really agreed with me, and I don't really know why. Because in all honesty, I think it makes sense. Um, Here's my thing. If you look back to the Florida State game, um, the game plan going into Florida State was run the ball because Florida State had, everybody was talking, oh, it's their cornerbacks. Yeah, Florida State's got a good defensive line, but you need to be worried about their secondary. And everybody was like, well, what if Haynes King throws picks? If you go
Yeah.
back and you look at that game, our run game was working successfully, but if Buster asked Haynes King to pass the ball, Haynes King did it. He led us, and he pretty much
Yeah.
he was underrated in that game. He won us that game with amazing throws
On
on
third
third
down.
and long.
Yeah.
Yeah, on third and long. I mean, he won us those games. So I don't really think I've heard a lot of people say that they don't trust King, and I just don't think that's true. If you ask me, I think he's been injured ever since the Syracuse game. I think he got injured in
Yep.
the Syracuse game, and ever since then they've been limiting him a lot. So after King got injured, I took a step back and I realized I was like, maybe that's the scenario. So I'm going to give Buster a little bit of grace because you see when he puts Pyron and Philo in, they throw the ball. It's not a King thing. King can throw the ball, and he's
Yep.
shown that when he does throw it, he has reduced the turnovers. So I don't think it's that they don't trust King. I really think it's he's been dealing with injuries all year, and they don't want to make him pass 30 plus times a game if you don't have to.
Yeah, the only thing with that is, let's assume, yeah, he was injured against Syracuse. Why is he running the ball 20 times a game?
Now I will say that is one thing in the Syracuse game. If he was injured, it took them until the fourth quarter to let Haynes King throw it. And
Yeah.
if that's the case, if that was the thing, like, oh, he's injured, so we don't want to throw it if we don't have to. Okay, but you're losing the game. Stop being ignorant and let the quarterback play. If he's that injured to where you can't, put the backup in.
He's just been ignorant. It's ignorant. Made me think of South Park, man. Well, yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm also not as low on Buster as everyone else is either. And look, I'm just not a guy that pulls the trigger on firing coaches super quick.
No,
It's just not who I am.
for anybody that says fire either King or Buster, 'cause I won't lie, but they've both been very, very frustrating.
Sure.
And I'll be honest with you, Rec. The reason I give Key a 5 is because it's like Golden Fella said, when in Key's interim year, we actually came up with game plans, and even his first year, we came up with good game plans to win football games.
With bad quarterbacks.
Right. And so far,
And
he hasn't showed me that he's made any real improvement. And obviously, he's made improvement with the program, like recruiting wise and money wise. But when it comes to on the field coaching, he hasn't shown me that he's made any big improvements. And that's why I say my confidence is a little low. Now, next year is where I feel like my mind is really going to be made up. If he makes a
I
lot of
agree.
changes and he looks good next year, that's when I'll be like, okay, my confidence is a 7 or 8. But as of now, it's probably a 5 because he hasn't made a whole lot of on the field changes.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. Well, Zach, I appreciate you calling in, man. Appreciate the support. And until next time, we'll talk to you later.
All right, man, go Jackets.
All right, see ya. Now we have a treat coming on now. Me and KS have butted heads about Key. I'll be really interested to see what he has to say. Now, he did bring up something like, we do have a ton of injuries this year. King's injured. We've got Cooley injured. Chad Alexander is injured. We got like 4 tight ends injured. We got people in our secondary injured. So you could say, yeah, that's a depth issue, and Key needs to have more depth. Right. He hasn't had time to build it, though. It takes, not just a year to build a little bit of depth. But let's bring him on. KS, man, how are you doing tonight? KS, you're muted if you're talking. KS. Can I unmute you? Did you walk away? I cannot unmute you. I'm going to give you about 5 to 10 seconds, KS. We'll circle back to you if you don't come back on. But
there we go. Maybe you can hear me now.
There you are, KS. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Hey, how you doing? How you doing this wonderful Sunday night?
Not as well as I'd like. I mean, I think maybe you and some other people said it in the chat. Look, it affects my week when we play like that. I'm not well. It sucks. I'm pissed, and I'm not super nice to people around me. But I mean, I'm above ground, so I guess that's
absolutely.
good.
And I got 2 weeks of it to
Yeah, we got a bye week
to dwell on.
So this will be good for you to vocalize. Now, you've been in the chat. From what I can gather, you're someone who would like to fire Key at the end of the year. Or if we did fire Key, you would be happy with that.
Absolutely. I don't think the guy can coach.
Okay. So lay us out why we need to fire Key. What has Key done that we need to fire him for? And then what do you think we need to do after firing Key? Who do we need to hire? All that.
All right. So I'll say this about Key. I want to like the guy, right?
Yeah.
I like the guy, and I want him to be the answer. I want to put that out there.
Okay.
However, going back to his interim year, and we go back to last year, and we look at what we have this year, we have about 2.5 seasons of tape on the guy. We can see what he does.
Yeah.
And it's 500 football at best, and this season's probably worse.
Okay.
Beyond that, I mean, we've already you touched on the timeouts, the running on 3rd and 15 or whatever.
Well, hold on. Let's back up. Let me think through this. So in his interim year, he won 4 games as interim.
That sounds about right.
think he
Was it
won
4
4
and 3?
games. He beat Duke. He beat Pitt. He beat Virginia Tech. Maybe those were his regular season wins, and then the 4th one was the bowl game. We'll throw out the bowl for now because we want to talk regular season. But I also feel like you can throw the interim year out. I mean, I don't really know what more he could have done in his interim year. Will you at least say that for his interim year? I mean, he's down to his third and fourth.
I'm willing to throw the interim year out because I believe, well, partly with any team that gets an interim coach, I think you get that interim bump and you play better anyway. But
Yeah.
we can throw that out and really focus on what we had last season and this season.
Okay. So last season he's 500 in year 1.
Yeah, and of course the Bowling Green loss really, that was kind of like my first little alarm bell went off. But whatever, first year guy, I'm not going to be too hard on him.
Now, how do you feel? Because I'm still not over that game. I'll probably never be over that game. We know Sea-Dog won't. But he did basically fire his DC then and there, and it seems like we upgraded this year in DC. How do you feel how he handled staff decisions in year 1? Because he did make a lot.
Outside of the demotion, I had no issue with it. I thought the demotion was weird, but whatever. If we're we're penny pinchers, I'm gonna say it.
I think that wasn't his call. I think if he could have fired him, he would have. I agree with you. I think that was a financial decision by people above him.
Yeah, we're in agreement there.
Yeah.
But then, like moving out throughout the rest of the season, and this season after the Q's game was kind of where I was at my boiling point, because I'm sitting there looking at, it's just like we don't come out prepared like we want to play, or coming off. We just beat FSU, who we thought were probably going to be ACC contenders.
Yes.
And we came out in the Q's game, and I thought we looked out, oh, we're just going to come over here and roll over these guys, right? First year, I believe Fran Brown's first year head coach, brand new quarterback. We just beat them last year, but to me, there's a lack of effort, and I've said it, front running. Since then, it's like we come out and we expect to win, which I'm not saying is always a bad thing.
Yeah, I think you should expect to win. You there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, I think we should expect to win. I think you're saying we expect to win, but we're not prepared well enough to win, is what it sounds like you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like we come out every game like we're playing VMI.
Okay.
And even the start of VMI was pretty rough. I think Jamal Haynes went for a negative 6-yard rush or something. So I was already nervous then, but
yeah, it didn't start well, and I do think that's the most fair criticism of Key. Not that there aren't. There's plenty of legitimate criticisms of Key. Again, his game management, we have come out, it seems like, with not great game plans to win, though. I will agree with you there.
Yeah, and I don't know who to put that on more, on Faulkner or Key, but I'm just going to go straight to the top and say that's the CEO's problem. That's
I agree.
Key's fault.
Buck stops with him.
Yeah.
But
it's a lot of it has to do with the timeouts, game planning, obviously the special teams debacle that has been
right.
I don't know, throughout almost 8 years now at Georgia Tech. Like, it's ridiculous.
The overall theme being, and I think this is why you would like him to be fired. It seems like we've regressed from taking over as interim to now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you see it across college football. Teams get better week to week.
Not all teams.
Not all teams, but mediocre to good teams. And I think we should have been a mediocre team, and we're on pace to be mediocre. But they get better. And
I disagree with that, though. Teams tend to oscillate. They get better, they get worse, they get better, they get worse. Otherwise, no one would ever fire their coach.
Okay, that's fair, but we seem just to getting worse. I'm waiting for when we get better.
Okay. Yeah. So go ahead.
And this is a hot take. I know this is going to sound kind of crazy, but the only difference between Key and Collins to me is that we have an actual quarterback.
Yeah,
and I know that's kind of crazy.
I feel like it's kind of crazy. I mean, I just flat out don't agree with that. I mean, you used a term that I don't, or a phrase that I don't like wanting it more, or I forget exactly how you phrased it. I do think we're a tougher team, because to me, it's just hard to be worse than Collins with everything we know that's happened behind the scenes with Collins. Like, if anything, I think Key might be a little bit too ultra aggressive. That will be one criticism I will have of him, of kind of what I know has happened behind the scenes with him. I think he could tone that back a little bit. But here's what I will say is the special teams of takeaway this week. Yeah, it looked like Collins. So, all right, that's your case for firing him. So we fired him. Who do we need to hire? And what do you think our budget? That'd be a good conversation to have. What is our budget, do you think, after we're paying all these buyouts to hire a new coach?
Well, I'm going to say this. I don't know anything about college athletics and the money that they bring in. Very, very little.
Okay.
I can tell you a name, and this is probably just because I watch too much ESPN, but Dan Mullen. I think Dan Mullen gets us 7 wins this year if he was coaching this team. At least 6, and we don't have the special teams problems.
Okay. So this is what I will say. First of all, any top tier coach that demands, I will call top tier coach pay $8 million plus a year. That would be top. You throw that out. You're not getting any of those guys. All right.
Right.
Because you're also going to have to lock them into 7 years or more. I don't know what Dan Mullen would command. It would be north of 5 easily, though. So I don't know if that's realistic for us either, paying all the buyouts. Let's just say it was. Let's say we hired Dan Mullen for $5.5 million a year. Just to make the math easy, let's say 5. So $35 million contract, 7 years. Now, what is the biggest criticism that Florida had of Dan Mullen that is a major problem for Georgia Tech?
I'm assuming it's recruiting.
It's
I'm going to be honest.
100%
I didn't
recruiting.
follow Florida. Yeah. But it's not like we recruit well anyway. I'm going to be dead honest. And you can, I'm about to say you can almost throw out this year because we're about to lose that tackle from, I believe, Duluth. We got the safety that's about to go to Georgia. Yeah.
Deakins. Yeah, we're going to lose some kids. So but this would be my thing. If that's the case, then just convince Paul Johnson to come back out of retirement. In other words, you're not going to have a coach that's going to come in here that can't recruit, that's going to win at the level that I think is going to make Tech fans happy.
Right, and I wonder, because I know the wins per season that I would be happy with. I wonder what other people think. But to me, that win total is 7 to 8 a year.
Yeah, I think the bare minimum is 6, like the bare minimum, and that's what it was for some years.
6 wins should be like a down year, like a little asterisk. Oh, kicker missed a field goal in a random game or something. Like that should be bottom of the barrel.
But historically, it hasn't been. I think that's the other important thing. The majority of coaches in the past 4 years are averaging 6 wins, somewhere around there. The best 3 average 7.5 over the past 40 years, going back to 90. So 43.
Yeah, but also I think that's a lot to testament of. I think Georgia Tech. I mean, you said it before. The administration hates sports.
They don't. They haven't supported football like other programs. That's for sure.
And I also think it's just an overall Tech curse across almost all sports. I guess women's volleyball I think is pretty good, but
I don't think it's a curse. It's just that you look at the top 5 programs every year. They have massive budgets and all the stuff that we don't have at Tech. So we should probably do a whole other show on just that, but we've gone on for a little kind of long on just this one call, but I do appreciate it. And you're not the only one that is saying this stuff by any means, right? And I do respect your opinion, right? I think at the end of the day, we all just want Tech to win anyways.
Absolutely.
So, well, cool, Cass. Thank you so much for your support. Thanks for calling in, and until next time.
Yes, sir. You have a good night.
All right, let's bring on Mr. Burns. Oh, never mind. Mr. Burns, how are you, sir?
I'm great.
So what do you think about all this? You've heard a variety of opinions, including my own, which is obviously correct. What do you think?
Well, I think that people are jumping the gun. They are not looking at the big picture. They're just taking little bits and pieces and snips like the political people do against their opponents to make them look bad. And they're just picking at the game. Everybody's talking about how great Philo was. How many points did Philo score? 0.
He did, but I don't
So
think that's all on Philo either.
no, listen, that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's
Right.
not Philo, it's not Pyron, it's not the kicker. It's the entire team, and
Right.
it's the entire coaching staff. And people don't realize this. We had 11 years of the triple option that no elite player wanted to come to Georgia Tech.
No.
Then we had 3 years, three plus years of the Noodle Boy, and that really put us behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, it did.
Now Cabrera has hired J-Bat. We are raising record money.
Yes.
We've got a coach I looked a couple of days ago and we were number 17 on the recruiting ranks on 247. So why in the world is people beating up on this program? Maybe our win-loss record ain't quite as good as it needs to be, but damn if we ain't moving forward in really it's light speed compared to what we did the last 15 years.
No, I agree. I mean, he signs the first 5-star in program history. Now, a massive part of that is NIL, but that is the landscape that you now exist in. That's why I did that whole video where I literally went back to 40 years of Georgia Tech head coaches, and I'm like, find me these guys that have coached at a level that say the expectation should be such that Key needs to be fired right now. And I just don't I don't see it. And it's interesting. I don't want to get into politics, but it is interesting. You say like people look at it like politics. It is scary how similar college football discourse and political discourse are. They're almost the same. It's like, okay, if you just set aside everything that person does good, then they suck. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean that would be the case for anybody, right?
In the last 3 years, how many of Tech players have been arrested? I can't think of any. But look at other programs. I think we got a pretty clean. We got a clean program. We educate our students. The number one problem at Tech is we're underfunded. And everybody doesn't realize, and I'm kind of disappointed that the Georgia Tech game is at the Dome, or at the Benz rather, and I still call it the Dome, but at the Benz, and it's an extra fee to go watch that game. Well, Jay Battenham sat down and figured out that they're gonna make an extra $100,000 doing it this way, and I can't blame them.
No, I can't either. I can't either. Like I've said about that, I failed to do a video about that, and I apologize for that. But you don't have to like it, but I do, and I don't, but I do understand why we're doing it, and it makes sense. It's money. So all the people that are saying, "Oh, I don't like our pass rush, but I don't want to take the 10 million." You can't. Okay, you got to pick one because it's going to take. Right. A lot. I mean, the market, Bryce Coons talked a lot about this. The market for like defensive linemen is probably second only to quarterbacks. So, I mean, that's what it's going to take to get one.
Yeah, I would think a star 5. I mean, the rumor was we paid $800,000 for that guy to come to the 5-star defensive end. I don't know that we paid that kind of money.
It was more than that, I think. I think it was 900 and something.
So we allocated $900,000 NIL money, and is that over a 4-year deal, or is that?
I think so, but I'm not sure. This is the problem with the NIL market too. Is I don't think there's any commitment. In other words, I think he could come and get that money for a year and then leave after that. So it just I'm not real sure on a lot of that.
Hopefully, we make payments to him and we don't give him a lump sum and he cuts and runs.
No, well, that's what happened at Texas A&M is they promised all these kids all this NIL money and didn't pay them. Or they didn't pay them what they said. Same thing with the UNLV kid. So, no, I'm with you, man. I think we all get emotional, and the guy that isn't here or the guy that isn't playing or hasn't played yet is always like, okay, he's going to be the guy, right? And I get that, but you got to think. That's why I went through like, okay, let's play it through. Who are you going to hire? Can you pay all these buyouts? Are you going to? I mean, you're going to have a very limited budget to make your next hire. So, you got to think about it.
That's exactly. And, you just keep pouring money down a damn empty hole or water down an empty hole. It never will fill up. But the thing is, we have a green head coach. I mean, he's got less than 3 years under his belt as a head coach. You got to realize Nick Saban went 5-7 his first year at Alabama, I think it was, and he had already won a national championship at LSU. So people are not comparing apples to apples. They're not thinking of. They're trying to make Brent Key out the next Nick Saban or the next Lane Kiffin or Kirby Smart, and he may well be that, but it's not going to be in 2 to 3 years. It's going to be in 7, 8, 9, 10 years.
For sure.
And he might not be at Tech in 10 years. But Buster Faulkner, first year as his second year as his as a offensive coordinator, 2 to 3 years Santucci. So we've got a really green staff. We're just now starting to get above average players in on our recruiting. So, and the only thing that's going to improve that is time and money. That's the only two things. We're not giving them enough time, and we're definitely underfunded.
Time and money. You sound like my ex-wife, man. I like it. It's the only thing.
Well, hey, we all need one ex-wife.
I know that's right. We need to I'll make my own club for that, and we can all talk about it.
Yeah, well, you can come and join my club, the He-Man Woman Haters Club.
Buddy, I've been in that for a while. So, well, I appreciate you calling in, Mr. Burns. I think you made great points, sir. As everyone did.
I will see y'all at the flats, and to hell with Georgia.
To hell with them, right? Piss on them. Yeah, I appreciate Burns. Like I said, I think everyone who's called in has made good points, even KS, right, who I disagree with. Here's the other point I've made. What's been the biggest problem with successful coaches at Georgia Tech? They get hired away, right? So you hire Jamie Chadwell, and then he wins 8 games and then 9 games, and then he's gone, and you're looking for another head coach. So let's bring on Mark Cruz. What's going on, buddy?
How's it going, man?
It's going well, man. So you've heard all this. What's your take on it?
Man, well, to be honest with you, the Mr. Burns there stole most of my thunder. I agree with most of the things he said. I mean, I was gonna bring up a lot of that with the recruiting class and jumping the gun on some of this. Yeah, I mean, I was arguing with KS in the chat on the Virginia Tech game. So, and again, we're all Tech fans, right? You're right. We all want Tech to win. So, I mean,
we have different ideas of how to get there. I don't know which one is correct, but it sounds like you were probably going to say something like, look, well, and I haven't even framed it this way. We're building a program right now, right? So from administration up. So we've got the guy in J-Bat, got to give Key some time. What you don't want to do is throw a huge monkey wrench in that by getting on this carousel of firing coaches every 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, again, I was just looking at, highest paid coaches stuff, and you look and see like the coach at NC State's being paid around $6 million.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do comparisons that would make sense. I'm not going to compare him to Kalen DeBoer or something, but
if you do comparisons, he is underpaid for even what he's doing. Even like none of us are happy with the record. He's way underpaid for what he's doing in comparison to. I need to just go look. Is he the lowest paid Power 4 coach? He probably is.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't think he's necessarily, but I mean it's close. I'm just looking at comparison. I mean Brent Pryce 4.7 million, Dave Clausen's 4.7 million. I don't know, but I will say this because I don't think anybody's brought up this. I got on one of these calls earlier this year, and I was complaining about Tech fans who were talking about how Haynes King was losing us games, and how we need to put Pyron in or something. Those exact same people are the same people who are like, Pyron needs to bring Philo in. I mean,
yes,
that game proved that Haynes King is carrying this offense. I mean,
yeah, there was this. You're right. We haven't talked about this. There was a huge swath of people that were like, King's not that good. We need to bring Pyron in. All right, that happens, and then there was even people saying Philo now needs to be the starter.
Yeah, that's insane.
No matter the health of Haynes King. I mean, it's just like, whoa, man. Like, you can't judge a kid on one half or one quarter or one game. And I do, even though I am, unhappy with some of the play calling and unhappy with some things Key's done, I do trust that he knows more about personnel than I do, though.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I don't know. I just, again, I Pyron and Philo and all that's been talked about enough. I'm not going to, rehash all of that, but
real quick,
I mean,
hire Phil Hellmuth, and I know that you're a troll and you're spamming a bunch of stuff. I actually like the hire Phil Hellmuth. Surprise, I even know who that is. Let's play some poker. Go ahead.
Here's what I was looking at. So if we look at the losses that Tech took the previous year compared to this one, I still feel like we're going on the right track. I mean, I'm looking at
Bowling Green.
Yeah, Bowling Green, a game which is absolutely ridiculous, and we got beat badly. We didn't just get beat; we got beat badly.
Yes, we got flat out embarrassed.
Took a terrible loss to Clemson. Took a terrible loss to Ole Miss. Louisville came all the way back. I mean, these are really bad losses. Now, again, I'm not saying there's plenty of games this year. I would say pretty much every game we've lost, you could say, except maybe Notre Dame, we should have won that game. We had the talent to win that game. We were in the position to win that game, and we, fought ourselves there. But again, much closer games, and, games that were within a margin. I don't know.
Yeah, look, and that's the thing. Like, it's hard to take this tempered approach of like, okay, we are, incrementally improving, and we just, I mean, none of us want to be patient. Again, we all want to win right now. I want to win right now. What I don't want to do is make emotional, rash decisions that I feel like set us back in a way that we might not be able to recover from in a time that is the most tumultuous in college football history. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with the ACC and conference? I have no idea. But
I mean, speaking to that, like, just in terms of Brent Key loves Georgia Tech. I mean, who are you going to find that loves Georgia Tech and really wants to bring success to this program more than him? I just don't know. I mean, I've been at all of the home games. I mean, the fans love him. Well, I guess most of them. Some people in the chat apparently don't, but it seems like people are really high on him. Again, the recruiting classes, we've seen that he's bringing people in. I mean, that's super important.
Bringing money.
Just talking about personnel.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, yeah, and he's probably the only guy I can think of that I don't think gets hired away with a huge bag of money.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now look, if in year 3 we're 4 wins, it's a different conversation. Okay. But it seems like we're in agreement as of right now. I just don't think it's a conversation you're having at this juncture.
So. I certainly wouldn't. I just don't see it at all. And I will say the one other thing about the Virginia Tech game is I was very, very happy with how the defense played. And
lights out minus 2 drives.
Nobody's talking about that.
No, and they had 2 or 3 drives that they didn't play well on, but you're not going to shut a team out. Holding a team to 21 points is a feat. To me, Power 4 team. And they were getting pressure
out too.
Yeah. They're the number 1 rush offense in the country, or in the ACC. Tootin is leading the conference in rushing. We were without our best linebacker, who is a run-stopping phenom. They had 80 yards rushing, I think, as a team, by the way.
Wow, yeah.
They had 223 or 33 yards total offense.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think the defense is on the right path. I really do think, and I mean, Keith said this, but I do think you can say they have improved. I mean, there's ups and downs, of course, but they have improved over the season. It got, like you said, got a lot more pass rush pressure. I mean, stopped the run pretty much. I mean, the offense, yes, I don't know what to say. Again, it's hard to know whether, why were we not throwing it before? Was it because King was injured? Was it because we're just afraid to throw now? I don't really know what's going on with that. I don't think, Buster's been horrible, but of course, I'm, upset with how that's going. It does seem like we've regressed, but I wouldn't say we've, regressed so far that I'm like willing to fire him yet.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, Mark, I appreciate your call, man. Thank you for calling in, and we'll talk to you next time.
All right, peace. Go Jackets.
We'll see you. Go Jackets. Before we move on to Mayhem Matthew, who's a Georgia fan, something else. What were we talking about preseason? This was a hard schedule. It was like a top 10, depending on who you looked at. Hardest schedule in the country, and we're struggling. Now, what is hard to stomach and in some ways unacceptable is the way we're losing these games, for sure. Just trying to keep it all in perspective here. But let's bring on Mayhem Matthew. We went back and forth in the last stream a little bit. What's going on, buddy?
What's up, bro?
So what do you think about all this from an outsider's perspective, the Georgia fan?
Well, you've seen me on YouTube and stuff, and you know that although I hate Georgia Tech,
you've been higher on them than Tech fans have.
Exactly, and as somebody that's trying to be non-biased and keep my fandom out of it, I really do think Brent Key. I don't even know why the conversation is even there to fire Brent Key. I mean, in y'all's the football program alone, y'all are winning. I looked it up really quick before I got on here. Like 58% of games all time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you go 6-6, that's 50% right there, and then you win your bowl game, that brings you right around to the average of what you've been doing, right?
Sure, and that stat, if it's all time, is heavily loaded in far into the past.
Right.
With Bobby Dodd and Pepperoni, like all those guys 60, 70 years ago, or longer, right, with Bobby Dodd.
But, and then the world of college football now, you ask the other guy, who would you hire next? And, the only person that I would even think that can bring maybe 10 wins to Georgia Tech in a couple years, and don't laugh at me when I say this, okay?
All right, I'll try.
Deion Sanders, man.
Come on, dude.
I mean,
does he get to bring his son and Travis Hunter with him?
I mean, right now he has he has them on the way to Colorado, on the way to 10 wins after,
he's sitting Colorado's on 6, right? What's
that?
He's sitting on 6, right? Which I was wrong about. I did not think he would get near 6 wins for the season. But let me ask you this about that. And I will tell you, he was talked to by Georgia Tech before he went to Colorado. That's a fact. I would have to see what happens after this year. Meaning, can you coach without your son, without Travis Hunter? Can you bring in recruits and people in the portal that you can win with?
Right.
If not, then it might be a flash fire. I mean, what do you think he can win in the next 2 to 3 years? Like, what do you think his record is in the next 2 years, next year and the year after?
Well, it depends on who they bring in. I know now.
That's on Deion.
I know Juju Lewis is probably not going to Colorado, but he did he did visit to Colorado. Juju Lewis is the Southern Cal commit. as of right now, I'm gonna just let you know, Juju Lewis ain't going to Southern Cal. That's a fact.
Okay.
He's probably going somewhere else. But he did visit. He did go on a visit to Colorado, which Deion Sanders. He. I mean, I'm not saying that Juju's going there, but he's seen what Shador's doing. If he wants to follow in with Shador, then I mean, yeah, because Shador's probably going to be a top 5 draft pick.
Probably.
This coming. So I mean, if Juju Lewis, if Deion Sanders says, "Hey, my son gonna be a top 5 draft pick, you gonna be a top 5 draft pick too." I mean, then maybe Juju Lewis don't have any competition. He can start right away, right? And he's a 5-star quarterback, right?
Sure.
So
Yeah, I mean the point being I'd have to see him. Here's the other thing we haven't talked about is I can tell you this, I mean, I'm sure you know, I mean, it's your coach, Kirby Smart. When he was hired at Georgia, he had a list of demands, and I mean demands that had to be met for him to be the head coach at Georgia. I can tell you at Tech, most likely, and especially with Deion, they're not going to agree to that. There were other coaches I know for a fact that Georgia Tech talked to before they hired Key. They were not willing to meet the demands they had to be the head coach, which is unfortunate.
yeah,
It's an indictment on Tech, but
yeah. I mean, the crazy thing about Kirby Smart hiring, he was literally in the athletic director's South Carolina Gamecocks athletic director's house, about to literally sign a contract to become the next head coach of South Carolina Gamecocks. And then he gets a phone call from the athletic director of Georgia to come be the head coach. And obviously he's going to take that because he is he's a former player at Georgia. He loves Georgia. He's all about Georgia. But,
yeah,
that to me is probably the craziest story. I mean, you're literally in somebody else's house and you get the phone call and you have to, say, hey, I won't be signing this contract today. But
so he was offered the South Carolina job before he took the Georgia job. I'm unaware of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He was offered the South Carolina Gamecocks head coaching job. Yeah. And
Wow.
that's whenever Georgia knew something about it and they went ahead and got him, which ended up being a really good decision. But
It did.
Going back,
it's interesting too. Who were people beating down the hatches for before he went to Florida? It was Muschamp.
yeah.
So I mean, it ended up working out for you guys, but yeah, man, I don't know. I mean, as far as Tech,
I mean, as far as Georgia Tech goes, Brent Key, just like I heard a caller before, can't remember which one, but he stated, he's a Georgia Tech guy, and nobody wants to win more than Brent Key does. I mean, he is that guy. And, I did say Deion Sanders, but, and I'm sure he wants to win as well, but and I don't really know if he has any ties to Georgia Tech, but I do know.
The only reason that matters to me, because in general, that probably matters way more to other Tech fans than it does to me. Like, I can tell you at Alabama, they could give a shit less that Nick Saban's from West Virginia. They could care less. I could really care less that Tech hired a Tech guy. The only reason it matters is because we get coaches poached. That is the only reason it matters to me, and I think it's unlikely with Key.
Yeah, and I mean, let's not sit here and act like Key is some terrible head coach. I mean, the last head coach you had, I mean, you would definitely rather, this guy.
Who would that be?
Right?
I don't even know who our last head coach was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's doing some great things over in North Carolina right now.
He did to Virginia, but other than that, yeah. Well, Mayhem, I appreciate you calling in, man. Mayhem has a channel. Go ahead. I don't know if you can post a link to it in the chat. I'll post a link to Mayhem Matthews' channel in the chat. I have respect for anyone that gets on YouTube. It is not, especially for college football, because it is not easy to see your team get beat and then come on here and have to eat a bunch of crow like I do way too often these days. But man, I appreciate you calling in.
All right, for sure. And go Dogs.
Oh, Jesus, dude. Never again. Neil never call in again saying GD on my stream. What's wrong with you? I'll still post a link to your channel, though. Mystic, what's going on, buddy? You're on with Wreck.
What's up, man? You doing all right?
I'm doing well enough, man. Wreck, tell us why that guy was suspended. I did tell you why Brumfeld was suspended. Tech called and asked my opinion on him, and they suspended him. But anyways, go ahead, Mystic. What do you think about all this? What's your, if we put a barometer up Key's ass, what do you think the reading is? If you're talking, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. What would you grade Key on 1 to 10?
I'm still having that about a 7 right now.
About a 7? Yeah, I mean, why? So what do you take points away from Key for?
Just little things, but I think it's more youth head coach. Like the timeout after the extra point, that one made no sense to me. I'm still trying to figure that one out. Just little things like that.
I didn't watch the post-game press conference, by the way. I would hope that was addressed, and I haven't talked about this tonight. I'm not happy with the press coverage for Georgia Tech at all either. We all seem to be scared to ask any hard questions, but yeah, I don't get that timeout call.
No, just like I said, it's little things. To say that he doesn't have them playing hard to be just lying. I mean, he has them. This is one of those games where it really, with how the offense was, it should have gotten more out of hand. But the fact that the defense kept just pushing, at least showed at least some effort for me. That's what I'm more pleased on.
Oh, for sure. Defense played really well. $2 super chat from T Brant says, "Thanks for the group therapy session, Wreck." You're welcome, man. You're welcome. So yeah, I'd probably give Key a 6 right now. What do you have Buster at?
Well, I have him about a 5. Just
you cut out again on me.
Like
there you are.
I have him at about 5. Where it's like he has the right idea on some plays, but I just feel like he needs to disguise better. That being said, me being just how I am, I'm hoping he's just saving everything for Georgia. I wouldn't complain.
Man, I hope so too, but that sounds like a lot of cope. I mean, that we would lose 4 games.
Is a lot of cope, but I can try.
Yeah, we lose 4 games just to shove it up Georgia's ass. Now, I would be a huge fan of that. That would be the best troll I've ever seen in history. We intentionally lose 4 games, have all these people talk about firing you just to go beat Georgia.
Well, I mean,
for
a lot of Tech people, and myself included, beating Georgia cures a lot of things.
Yes, it will also get you fired, a la Chan Gailey. Not beating them will get you fired.
Oh yeah, not beating them at a point will. At a point it will.
Yes.
But like I say, beating them, you get a lot more of a leash. Look at Paul Johnson. He got a lot more of a leash because he did.
Yes. Now, he also won an ACC title. But, yeah, look, that he could go to Georgia and beat them with I bet we didn't have a player that would start for Georgia was great. And it really went a long way for him.
What you said on which team wouldn't start for him?
Well, let's go back. I would
about to say 2008, look at some of those players. I think they would.
Yeah, no, you're right. But that also wasn't a recruiting class he signed. That was a top 10 class. So that one, I agree with you. We would add players that would have started for Georgia. Then,
2014, maybe Darren Waller.
Darren Waller might have started for them. And then
maybe Shaq Mason.
Shaq Mason would never be on their team.
Well, that's true, but I mean, after the matter of fact, he would.
True, if you're just talking about, oh, we lost Mystic. Yeah, I mean, if in hindsight you could grade a recruit, yeah, I'm sure they would have played him. But the point being, we had no business beating Georgia ever with the talent we had most of the time under Paul. We got you back.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. It just kicked me out. No, like I say that. No, definitely for what it's worth, he did that. But like I say,
yeah, and he did. He did a lot of other good. Like again, the ACC title. He had more than one like 8+ win season at Tech. What do you have? Three? I'd have to go back and look. But go ahead.
He had 4.
He had 4. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. 08, 09, 14, and 16.
Won a lot of games. I mean, he's in the College Football Hall of Fame for good reason. I mean, a lot of people will probably make fun of that, but I mean, I agree with what T. Brandt says about it. I think T. Brandt says it the best. Recruiting, big dog turd under Paul.
No, yeah. But I mean, that's the trade-off. You get something that I wouldn't say works all the time, but is good enough to get where you aren't in the tank.
No, but what the point T. Brandt was making is there's not another guy I'd want if I had to win one game and had a coach to prepare a team than Paul. And I agree with him.
Oh yeah. That's no doubt. That's absolutely no doubt. But like I say though, I'll say this. So backing off of Paul and all that, getting sidetracked on that. No, Buster, I think is just. I'm curious is how much Key is influencing on those play calls. That's really what I'm skeptical. That's why I haven't met.
Cut out again, man. But yeah, that's what I mean, I would love to know the answer to that question.
Like I say, I don't know if Key's forcing up those middle, like on 4th and short, 3rd and short, making up the middle. Because we should be able to bounce outside on more runs like that.
Yeah, that's been my biggest criticism is like, it seems like we struggle to run up the middle. Why are we not doing more things to get the ball out to the perimeter on the run game via jet sweep with a track star or just runs off tackle where you kind of have the option to cut outside on it? I don't know. Is part of that the depth at running back? And someone else brings up a good point. Key likes to have a very physical football team, as we all do. Maybe we don't have the depth to play the way that Key is wanting us to play.
Well, yeah, I mean, in certain aspects, I think so. But at the same time, there hasn't been any major injuries on the O-line. That's where the thing of being physical, we just don't seem that way all the time.
Yeah, I mean, we...
now, like running backs, receivers, more skill positions that are injured and whatnot, that's different. But like I say, the O-line's been relatively healthy all year.
Yes. No, I agree. I mean, the O-line not being able to open up holes in the run game is head scratching. We were able to run it up the middle all last season, and I completely agree with that. Did I not say Tantor? I meant Tantor said that. I don't know what I said, but
that's fine. I think you said T Branch.
Oh, yeah. T Branch was in the chat and I was looking at it. I guess I have split brain.
But no, like I say though, I almost wonder if with the guys we have, if it wouldn't hurt to try zone runs more.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe.
Truthfully, I'm not against power run, but I'm more of a zone run guy because you can open up a lot more West Coast style passing with that.
We have a little more options for the running back as well. In fact, Mojo's in the chat. I'd love to get Mojo's opinion on the offensive line this year and maybe why we've struggled to run the ball. So, Mojo, if you can call in and enlighten us from someone who played the position, unlike a fat idiot like me, that would be great.
Oh, yeah. But like I say, I'm still optimistic. I'm not worried about if we're gonna get to a bowl or not. I'm not off the wagon. Like I say, bye week usually we'll clean it up, get everybody back.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know about if we can beat Miami. I mean, I think they're due for a loss just because they've had games where they shouldn't have won. I feel like they're one of those teams just due for one. Do I think we can do it? Sure, but that's just if we play good.
In fact, we had an official on, a 31-year veteran official, that all but said that about Miami. Now, yeah, is Miami due for a loss? Sure. I don't know if we're the ones to do it, though, especially with how our offense is playing right now. But, we get King back. Who knows what can happen? Well, Mystic, I appreciate you calling in, man. Go ahead.
One more thing, though. One more thing before I let y'all off is and I stand by this. I've stood by this since the start of the season. I'll stand by it right now. I still believe we're going to go and win in Athens on the 26th. I still believe it.
You
and
Macho
even
Wreck.
after this game, I still believe it.
All right, man. Yeah, well, Georgia's definitely not the team they have been. I get that they went up to Texas and jerked a knot on their head, but something's been a lot.
They hype Texas up way too much for that. They put all that kind of stuff, and Texas really ain't played a team that talented.
Yeah, I don't know that they've played a team that matches up with them talent-wise until Georgia.
No, that's why I say I knew that their schedule was just going to make it where they were just going to get overmatched. That game went about how I thought. I really thought I did pick Texas to win that, but I actually had them losing to A&M. I still have A&M as my sleeper team, and they're doing great.
They beat LSU, right?
Oh, yeah. They were great. Their defense is shut down.
That's probably my best take ever. I was like, Elko's the guy. Someone's going to hire him, and they're going to do well with him, and it was Texas A&M. But, well, appreciate it, Mystic, man. Thanks for a great call.
Oh, yeah, you too. Have a good one, man.
All right. KS says we beat UGAG 44-0, but we still need to fire. If Key does that, will you forgive him, KS? What's going on, Nerd Stop? How you doing tonight, buddy?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. I had a good district volleyball tournament. Have my championship game tomorrow, and I'm going to be honest. I wasn't able to really pay attention to much of the tech game this weekend.
I would hope not if you're officiating while the game was
going
on. Yeah, that'll build some thick skin for you, though. That's how I built mine, officiating basketball.
Yeah. I'm getting to that after tomorrow. I'm fully transitioning to the basketball side of things.
Ooh, good luck.
Yeah. But I just want to say, did you see the stat that Saturday was our best defensive performance since when we beat Clemson in Deshaun Watson's first year, I think?
His first year was at Tech, so
that was our best defensive performance since that game.
Doesn't surprise me. You hold a team to 20, 30 yards of offense. I mean, it's hard to do any better than that. I mean, if you're playing a conference opponent.
I'm just so perplexed about this offense now, man. I was ready for us to start slinging it at the beginning of this year, and I know we've gotten to 5 wins by doing what we've been doing on the ground. It's just, I feel like we could do more.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would disagree with that. I don't think anyone's happy with how the offense has played. Going even back to Haynes King before he went out. I mean, there was a lot of people that weren't happy with it then. Now we're banged up, ton of injuries, but again, no excuse. I think the story at the end of the day is we need some more depth.
Yeah, and that's all I wanted to talk about, really. But the other thing is more bad news.
Oh boy,
JP's headed to the locker room right now, shoulder injury.
Oh no, dude, he's been killing it. Him and Gibbs. That we had both of them on the same roster. That if you don't know anything else about Jeff Collins, if you've never seen a single WreckTalk video about Jeff Collins, all you need to know is he had JP Mason and Jahmyr Gibbs in the same running back room, and he never won more than 3 games with either of them.
That pisses me off. That shows that Key is nowhere near as bad as what he was.
I agree
Noodle
with
boy.
That. I agree. I do like J.R. Burns. We're going to keep that. Noodle boy. Well, Nerd Stop, Go ahead.
Before I get off, I want to say I really do appreciate Mayhem coming on. I really hope that we get to see a lot more fans from a lot different teams, just because the outside perspective looking in on Tech is very interesting to see.
I would guarantee you there's not one person that's not trolling me, and there's a lot of them. By the way, let me take an aside to say, I so pissed off a Syracuse fan because I banned him. I'm gonna have to. I'll see if I can go find the videos. I'll put them in the Discord.
Right.
He's made like 10 videos of me.
No way. What?
I banned him, and like I don't go into what gets you banned, but I mean, you really gotta try.
You have to do something bad.
Yeah, you have to do something that you're pretty much a human piece of shit, and he did it.
Was that the person who talked about your daughter?
I don't remember what he did, but
that is about the line of what gets you banned.
Yeah, I mean,
like bringing up real life into this shit.
That Pace guy pissed me off, but I'm not banning him.
He's not doing anything other than trolling. That's all he's doing.
He at least he did spam some things, but then he moved on to other things. So you get to do that. You get to do that.
Anyways, I'm gonna head out. Go Jackets. Fuck the U.
Nice.
And I'll see y'all later.
See you, man. Yeah, you really got to try to get banned from the channel. You really do. Joshua Kent, what's going on? You're on with Wreck.
What is going on, WreckTalk?
Not much, man. I'm just talking about all my haters, man. What's going on?
Your haters? Oh man, you ain't got that many haters. At least you don't have as many haters as Brent Key for some reason has right now.
Tell him, Josh.
Like, oh my gosh, I have a bone to pick. Not with you, WreckTalk. I love you, Wreck. I truly do. You're my favorite. But I have a bone to pick with this Georgia Tech fan base. I really think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, and you know I will.
Oh, I know you will. I really think that we have the worst fan base of college football.
Dang. All right, tell us why.
Hold on. Let me rephrase that. We have the most fair-weathered fan base in college football.
All right.
Because whenever we're doing good, you won't see a negative post on Facebook. You won't see a negative headline. It'll be all hunky-dory. But as soon as something goes south, as we lose a game or something, everything starts popping off.
Yeah, everybody.
Everybody comes out of the woodwork. Fire Key. We need to freaking get rid of this stupid backup quarterback, which I think Pyron, he's okay. He's not great, but he's not bad. And I'm excited for Philo. I don't get why everybody's hating all over my boy Pyron. And I hope King gets better. He's our quarterback.
Oh, you cut out there, Josh Kent, in the middle of your sermon, buddy.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Keep preaching.
I'm sorry. But we need Pyron right now. We need King back in, but unless you got some insider info you would like to share with us, nobody knows what the hell is wrong with him because Key won't tell us.
Not that I would like to share with you. Here's what I will say. Just a slight correction. I don't think they're fair weather. I don't think there's any fair weather Georgia Tech fans. Fair weather would be like, in other words, all the people that are complaining have been Tech fans for some time. There are some psychotic people in this fan base, though. I will say that. And no, I'm not talking about KS. I mean, there's some people that have said some crazy, horrible things about some of these players, some of these coaches. I just think their expectation is a little unwarranted, maybe, or it's not justified with where you've been. You're expecting too much too soon, in other words.
Yes, I completely agree, because some of these people, they got to slow down, and they're just like, wait up, hold on a minute, something ain't right. And they got to think. We are in year 2.5 of Coach Key.
Right.
And you got to think, has he ever been a head coach before Georgia Tech?
No.
The answer, no. That means, in a sense, he doesn't really know what he was doing year one. He was figuring it out. And we got to give him just a little bit, just maybe the smidgen of breathing room. That's all I ask, because he needs it. He's brand new to this head coaching gig. He's going to make mistakes. The only thing I'll ask you, because I know you probably got stats and stuff there in front of you, but it's the only thing I can think about right now.
Okay.
Year one, what were we bad at that we are still bad at this year?
In year one?
Yeah, in year one, what were we bad at that we are still bad at this year?
We struggled on special teams in year one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, other than that, our offense may have regressed a little bit. I truly think so.
Yeah.
But our defense, night and day difference. Now, if we weren't seeing no improvement and there wasn't any corrections being made, which what's his face? Brumfield got suspended. So that's telling me, okay, Key is actively trying to solve this situation. He's trying to fix the problem.
No, well, here's what I'll say about that. I don't know for a fact, but I can tell you Brumfield wasn't suspended for play on the field. You don't see coaches suspended because the head coach is unhappy with how whatever their coaching is going. That they fire people for that. I mean, think about Thacker. Why wasn't Thacker suspended? He was demoted. Something happened that had nothing to do with football. Had to have, right?
Okay, I'll give you that 100%. You got me there. But my last point.
All right.
You got me. I'm sorry. But my last point. Okay.
Yeah.
You've had to have seen, and I know you can't trust these things too much because we're still a year out from 2025. But right now, we're sitting at, I think, 17th ranked recruiting class, which I know is going to change. But
not in our favor. Yes.
That's pretty darn good. I mean, that shows you that we are going in the right direction. So, my question to all those Georgia Tech fans out there that are Key haters, why won't you give him at least another year or two? At least, because we're going to have, hopefully, pray to God, knock on some freaking wood, hopefully, we're going to have a good recruiting class next year. I hope I didn't there. I hope our 5-star doesn't get stolen away.
Unlikely.
Yeah, unlikely. But am I wrong there, Rick? Am I wrong in what I said?
I don't think you're wrong, and I appreciate you calling in. I'll ask the people for you, though. I'll go ahead and ask them. But, yeah, appreciate Joshua Kent. Entertaining as always, man. Love you, buddy, and thanks for calling in.
Thank you. Love you too, Rick. Have a good night, man.
All right. So, yeah, why don't y'all give Keys cut Keys some slack here? Because if you don't, Joshua Kent's going to beat the fool out of you. All right? Kayan from Siren coming on. What's going on, buddy? There's two of you in here. I feel like Doc Holliday. I got one gun. I got two guns, one for each of you. Let's bring you both in. You're on with Wreck, man. What's going on? You're on with Wreck. You're on with Wreck. All right, we'll circle back to you, buddy. Can you hear me? All right, I'll leave you in the backstage. We'll bring Zach Jones back in. Karen, if you can figure your audio out or whatever, we'll bring you back on. Zach, what do you got, man? You came in again.
Hey, Rick, I just wanted to come back up here, and I wanted to say, because I see some people in the chat, and I don't think they I think we're way too critical, and I don't think people are way too and this isn't about Key. This is about Santucci. I don't think people understand how much he's turned this defense around. And I see people in the comments section saying the defense is still a major liability. Here's the thing. I'm going to go down the schedule.
All right.
We held Florida State, a bad Florida State team, but we did not know that when we played them. They very well still could have exploited us because we did not know how bad they were. We had to play very conservative on defense because we did not know what they were going to do. We held them to 21. We hold Georgia. I'm not even going to talk about Georgia State and VMI. Syracuse was the only bad game we had defensively all year, and that's for very obvious reasons. But even in that game, we were missing Clayton Powley. We were missing our two best safeties, and our best corner went down, I believe. So I'm going to skip past Syracuse. We held Louisville to less than 20 offensive points. less than 20 offensive points. We held Notre Dame to only 24 offensive points, and we held Virginia Tech to only 21 points. I think we're not giving Santucci enough credit here, and it pisses me off. If you want to be critical of Buster and Key, hey, I agree. I've been critical of them too. You cannot sit here and say that this defense has been a major liability. We have played good enough defense to make us undefeated. The way this defense is played, minus the tackling with Eford being out, because I will admit, with Eford being out, the tackling has not been there, and that's because he's a leader on the defense. He tells guys what positions to be in. He tells guys what to do. He's the Mike linebacker. That's his job. It sucks when he's out, but that's football. That's injuries.
Yeah.
Our defense has played good, and it pisses me off that people are saying that our defense is a liability.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with that either. I appreciate you calling back in, man. We got Kay back in here, but thanks for telling them what they needed to hear, man. We all know who you're talking about. But
you have a go, man.
I'll bring you. Yeah, appreciate you calling in. So, KS, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt that you're talking about the players in depth and not Santucci. I'm giving you an out here. Ken from Siren, can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. What do you got? We talked a lot tonight about a lot of different things. How do you see it?
Well, the way I'm looking at it is this. Collins came in. Collins changed our culture, and it ran off a lot of people.
Yes.
When Brent Key takes over, he's rebuilding our culture as a tech man. When you bring in Bats, the two of them start bringing in the money, we can start rebuilding. So even if you don't like Key as a coach, what he's doing for Tech's culture is what's most important right now. Because we're not going to be able to keep up with an NIL. We're not going to be able to keep up with rebuilding, and we're not going to be able to keep up with bringing in the money if you don't get the fans who love our culture to start buying back in.
Yeah, totally agree. I think that's a good point, and it's probably underplayed because as fans, we don't really see what's going on as an administration, or it's not as near as visible as what you see every Saturday, right? We just want the team to win, but everything that long-term gives you the ability to win is being done right, or that's what I hear you saying.
And if you want a couple good examples to look at in the good and the bad, someone was saying earlier that we should have Sanders. Sanders would be great for the ATL. He wouldn't be great for Georgia Tech. He may be great for I'm not trying to talk crazy here, but he may look good for, say, like the Falcons, because you're talking about Atlanta.
Yeah.
But for Georgia Tech, it doesn't fit. He's not a tech man type of thing. But then you go look at Dabo Sweeney. He is definitely a Clemson man. Hard believes in its culture, and that's what he's been working and growing off of, and it's been successful for him. Key may not be the coach in the future, but he's definitely being the one who's rebuilding from our 9/11 incident with Collins.
Damn. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. I got plenty of problems with Dion. Like, I mean, he's been involved with fraud almost everywhere he's been. I kind of wonder what might happen or what might come out. And I got to see what happens when the next 2 years with him. But yeah, you're probably right. Like, as far as the ATL is concerned, he might be good for that. But we would never agree to what he would want to hire him anyway.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And as far as our offense is going and everything, I do think we've taken a bit of a step back. I feel bad for everybody who fell in love with Pyron a couple years ago. I think we saw him step up as a hero. Yeah. And then after he got hurt, I don't know if everybody else saw this, but versus Notre Dame, he looked shy to all of his run plays. He tended to take a step back instead of pushing forward. He didn't look as good as we all remember. And I think he's a great quarterback. I think he's a great kid. I hope he stays with us. But
yeah,
he may be our number 2, not our number 1 going forward.
Yeah, I mean, he did shatter his clavicle into about 1 million pieces. Now, the other thing, as far as him, not putting his shoulder down against Notre Dame, that plus you're on your second string quarterback now. So I'm sure that he was coached to, like, hey, you don't, like, You don't need to take the contact that King's done and end up like King does, and we're down to our third string.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so let me get your opinion. If you're grading Key, we got our barometer out here, or thermometer, whatever utensil you want to use, grading them on a scale of 1 to 10. What do you grade Key out in year 2?
I'm going to put him closer to a 7 to an 8, somewhere in between there. I'm not trying to be a home run and ride high on him, but I like where things are going. I just want to see us get a hold of some better recruits and see our kids step up. We're still rebuilding. It's kind of like we were talking about the defense and Tyler coming in. Tantor said it best. It's not about Tyler's inability or ability to coach so much. He's working with the kids we have.
Sure.
And you give Tyler a good year to build a defense that he wants with the kids he can recruit. You're going to see a stronger defense. And I think we're already seeing good on that. But with Key, we saw that last year. Bringing in King was a huge change, a huge step forward. And I think we took this huge leap from Collins, and we wanted to see another big leap this year. So everybody's feeling a little off. But I think injuries are hurting us just as much as some of our own things like special teams and stuff like that. But I think injuries are really, really hurting us right now.
Oh, for sure. I mean, when you're down 3 or 4 tight ends, you're down 2 or 3 running backs, you're down 2 or 3 defensive backs. Obviously, there's not a team that's not going to affect in some way. Oh, yeah. It's just that other teams with better depth can sustain it a little better than what we currently have.
Yep.
Well, cool, man. Well, I appreciate you calling in and giving Key the vote of confidence, but
yeah. Well, hey, and thank you for letting me humoring me with watching the Mississippi State game the other day. That first little 30 seconds, I just wanted to throw that at you.
Oh yeah. What's it like replacing Collins? Yeah, it ain't no thing. Ain't no thing, man. That's basically what he said.
Yep.
Well, all right, man. You have a good night.
You too.
All right, I haven't heard from Mojo. We are coming up on 10 o'clock, though. Maybe I'll reach out to Mojo. We'll do our own video on how he sees the offensive line. But I know he's got responsibilities. You know, you got to make some dinner for you people. So that was a great show, guys. Thank you so much to all the guys that called in, and probably having a better show than we have any business doing after the Virginia Tech game. But safe to say I'm the number 1 Key hater. KS is not a fan. But that's all right. Well, that'll be the show, guys. Again, thanks for everyone who calling in. Thanks for everyone who supports the channel by super chatting, by memberships and such. And you guys have a great night.